Ann Birdsma, followed by Peggy Fisher.
Thank you. I just wanted to update you on Joey's information bill. It's changed since I was last here last fall. We no longer have a flyer. That's cost too much money, so the bill was scratched. So we started again. It's the information, what you need to know, what everyone needs to know, including Dr. Oz, because this was in the paper 2 weeks ago. What happened to my grandchild could easily happen to his. He thinks we need to start looking in the eyes at 36 months, at 3 years of age. No, healthy eyes begin at birth, absolutely. We had a little boy in Fort Lauderdale. I remember the letter from this mother shortly after Joey died. Her 5.5-month-old son, Max, lost both his eyes. 5.5 months old, both eyes enucleated. This simple little eye dilation exam, he would have had his eyes in his sight. And of course with Joey, just that ophthalmoscope in a dark room, that's all it would have taken. And I just spoke to a whole group of moms last week. There were probably 50 of them in the room. The majority of them had a little one in their lap. Some of them were breastfeeding. Nobody'd seen an ophthalmoscope in a dark room, and the one young lady told me that her 15-month-old daughter, when she asked for the room to be darkened, the pediatrician said, "Her eyes are blue, I don't have to make the room dark," which is ridiculous. This is a very silly statement. And I remember the first time I heard that was in 2001 from a young woman down in Miami, and this is 2015. So yeah, we're still at ground zero. We got a lot of work to do. What will happen? The information will be posted on the DOH and the DCF websites. That's it. Zero fiscal impact. The only thing that can happen from this bill is a child gets to see, maybe a child gets a life. So what a marvelous piece of legislation. Tragically, we have the bill in the House and bill drafting. It needs to get pulled out by the 27th or we will not have legislation. Lori Berman got it in there before the cutoff date for bill drafting. So thank you, Representative Berman, who's the chair of our Palm Beach delegation. But now we have to find somebody to get it out of the House in order to have viable legislation. So I'm here to ask you, please, anybody you're hooked up with, if we can get this done, you know, we're just going to open the door, and it's time. So thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Peggy Fisher, followed by Katie McGivern.
Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I'm just here to sort of remind people of certain things about our meetings. From our Charter, Article 3, Section 3, the mayor shall preside at meetings of the commission. From the Rules of Procedure of the Lake Worth Commission, Rule number 4. The mayor shall be the presiding officer of the city commission and shall be referred to as the chair when sitting in that capacity. In the case of the absence or the disability of the mayor, the vice mayor shall assume the responsibilities of the presiding officer, and if both are absent or disabled, the vice mayor pro tem shall preside. The chair shall preserve order. The chair may call to order any member of the commission and any member of the public who shall violate any of these rules or otherwise disrupt the orderly proceeding of the meeting. The chair shall decide all questions of order subject to a majority vote on an appeal of the decision. The chair shall recognize all commissioners who seek the floor while entitled to do so. And I just think we need to have a little bit of respect for the procedures that have been set in place and recognize that we do have someone responsible for running these meetings that we need to respect. Thank you.
Okay. Katie McGivern, followed by Peter Tim.
Hello, Katie McGivern, 2121 Collier Avenue. I want to thank the city for cleaning up the construction site that looks so horrible around Lake Osmer Drive. It is a day and night difference. The site looks wonderful, and we really thank you. It's a total turnaround. It looks very nice, and we thank you. One of the things that I suggested at the Compass meeting was that the city take over our CRA. It's been done in the past. Other commissions, there is procedure for it. If you don't want to completely take it over, I certainly think the CRA should be redistricted. Maybe there was a reason for them to be in our downtown in the past. That is long gone, and they really do need to be put into other more blighted areas of our city. We can use that tax money. You know, from the planning and zoning presentation, there's gonna be lots of new residents and lots more traffic, and we have the same old roads. So I am excited. We are gonna have some nice developments, but lots of new people, same old roads. As far as respect for each other, you know, I respect all of you. I thank you for your service, but I would hope that you all remember and please remain kind to each other. Please, thank you.
Thank you. Peter Tim, followed by Greg Rice. Thank you.
Peter Tim, North O Street, and yes, I was very elated at that meeting on Tuesday night to hear both the attorney and the bond manager say, yes, you can have a non-ad valorem tax. It is possible. It's harder to do. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing, but it is possible, and that was a very big thing for me. What I have just handed you is what would happen if we did put it on the non-ad valorem tax rolls. And if you just look at the bold, right, that's the main thing, and in 2014, they took in $1,880,258 on a $75 charge. If you divide that into units, it means there are 25,070 units in Lake Worth that paid that $75. There are 13,064 properties in Lake Worth. Some of them are below, they don't pay any taxes. But this would be an increase of 12,006 more units to help pay for whatever you want to do. I want people who are using this to pay for it. Am I stupid or something? There must be something wrong with me. We should let the people like that spoke at the meeting, who's going to pay $3,000 a year, they should pay for it all. I shouldn't have to pay anything. I don't feel that way, and I certainly hope you don't. So please consider that, consider it seriously, and I am anxious to hear your reply. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tim. Greg Rice? I want to pack in your voice.
Greg Rice, 511 Lucerne Avenue. Didn't mention, or forgot to mention, maybe I didn't see, Vice Chair of the Planning and Zoning Board is in the room with us. Dean Sherwood, thank you, Dean, for showing up tonight and all you do for the Planning and Zoning Board. Also, I don't know what we pay Sandy Du Bois, our city liaison, that works for the Planning and Zoning Board. I want to mention that she really works hard for this, for us anyhow, and I'm sure she does for her department. I'm here tonight to also say that Street Painting Festival is coming up. Any of these events, I don't care how big or how small, but this being our signature event, could not happen without volunteers. This year we are going to have 3 trolleys shuttling people in and around the city from the Tri-Rail station, and I got in contact with the president of Palm Beach State College, Dr. Gannon, and they are going to let us use a parking lot at the junior, or the college, I used to call it the junior college, the college, on the north parking lot to shuttle people back and forth in the these 3 trolleys that we're going to have. So I'm going to need some help. I am charged with finding greeters or welcomers or welcome wagon folks to take shifts on these 3 trolleys, welcoming people to the city of Lake Worth, talking about the Street Painting Festival, bragging about our city, and in this room, there is no shortage of people who'd like to get up and run their mouth about this city. So, now's your chance. My email address is Greg Rice, GREGRICE, all one word, 33460@gmail.com. These trolleys will run from 10 till 6. We have 3 of them, so we need 2-hour shifts, 3-hour shifts, whatever we can get out of. And I hope all of you up here on the dais will take a bite of the apple too as well, because you guys are a great spokesman for this city. All of us are, but and I like to kid a lot, but I'm not kidding about this. There are a lot of people here who like to run their mouth. Please help me fill these time slots. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony Murata?
Good evening, Commissioner Anthony Murata, 327 North Lakeside Drive. I'm also on the planning and zoning. Commissioner McBoy brought a very good point about the traffic in his question. I have the backup from our meeting. I just wanted to read for you guys. I think that's very important for you to know. It was a county study that was done, not city. They anticipate 525 new daily trips, 41 will be new peak hour, 47, AM, 47 in evening. This is according to the Palm Beach County Traffic Performance Standards Review. They further state that would be a 2.1% added capacity. For that, the developer will be paying $133,340 to widen the road for their section, which is 2.1%, from 4 lane to 6 lane. So there are some legitimate concerns about that, but I don't think that was known. So it was a county study that was approved, and they will be widening that as well, so important information.
Okay, thank you.
And thanks very much, Greg, for doing an awesome job as our chair. We appreciate it. And thanks very much to city staff, who was incredibly supportive of what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner McBoy, did you want to start first, the rundowns? Because I know you wanted to answer Mr. Murata's.
No, I was just going to ask him, but we don't have a mechanism for that, for where it was going to be widened, what stretch of it from 4 to 6 on.
Detroit, from Detroit is what it states.
To 95?
It doesn't have that part in here. It just says their section from Detroit.
We'll look at it after. Did you have any other follow-ups?
Well, I have to take particular personal offense to Mr. Rice's comment about folks who like to run their mouths, but you might get me on the trolley as a result. So I appreciate your efforts at soliciting volunteers. Thank you, Pam, for ongoing, non-stop dedication for the work that you do, both on the cleanups, but also especially for the eye issues. Sooner or later, I'm confident that we'll get there and things will get better on that one. Like Peter Tim, I was interested to hear that there do seem to be a number of different ways to potentially finance the needed infrastructure in the city. And ad valorem, from what we heard from the consultants, is not the only way. Ad valorem has advantages. We were certainly made clear that a general obligation bond gets a better interest rate, but it was also made clear by some of the residents that it puts a higher burden, higher risk on the residents. And a non-ad valorem assessment gets a little lower interest, or a little higher interest rate, and but it does have the advantage that you can potentially spread the burden for doing the work around the city. I think we should keep all our options open of looking at some combination of ways to finance. And obviously, if we can finance it without borrowing money, then we avoid the interest cost, the debt service costs. So that needs to be on the table as well. And I think I'll leave it at that.
Vice Mayor?
Sure, thanks. Pam, again, good luck. If you'll see me after the meeting or call me, I might have an idea of somebody in the house that we might be able to get to help you with that.
Thank you.
All right. Also, you know, in 2001, when I served on the commission initially, one of the first acts that this commission took, was to divest the commission of the CRA responsibility. And I was the only one that voted against it. Okay? And I won't get into all the reasons why I did it, but obviously, you know, I always felt, and I still feel, that this body, you know, because of its taxing authority, or however you want to phrase it, should be more accountable and responsible for the actions of the CRA. However, obviously my vote didn't prevail back then, and we are where we are today. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the CRA, and should we take it back, and should we not take it back, but the reality of it is, and I'm going to have the city manager step in just a second here to clean up any potential misstatement I might utter, but the reality of it is the CRA is now straddled with a lot of debt. and even if we took it back, we'd still have to satisfy the debt. So I don't know where, you know, I don't know where we come out financially, and if there's a model that could be done expeditiously in a very short period of time that would show the public, if we took it back and if we did this, you know, I'd like to see it. But my understanding is, this is not an easy fix. You just don't say, okay, we're gonna take the CRA back because there's just too many obligations and too much.
It's not a windfall.
No.
That's,
So, but I would, you know, I know you're not really busy, you don't have much to do, but I would like to see that modeled somehow. And as far as the redistricting of it is concerned, I've hinted over the years about contracting in some way or shape or form on the district. Of course, that throws the executive director into some sort of a medical emergency. But you know, I have feelings about the CRA, but I'm also very practical. And I think, you know, if we're gonna have that conversation any further going forward, we need to model it and see what it really looks like, so everybody understands what we're up against, if we're gonna consider that option. Also, Mr. Tim, again, I thank you for your comments on the non-ad valorem, and believe me, if I think everybody should have to pay. Every property owner should put something into the pot to pay for our roads. I absolutely agree with that. But I wanna caution you, sir, and my colleague here, because sometimes we hear what we want to hear and we disregard the rest. I think they made it very clear that while it may be technically possible to do a non-ad valorem, it was practically impossible to do it because we couldn't get anybody to give us the debt. I think that was said over and over, loud and clear. So, and even if they did, you know, Mr. Tim, and you know, Commissioner, that somebody would challenge us in court, and the project would never go. So we can play that game, and we can throw that out there and make everybody believe that that's such a high reality, and we'll be sitting here 15 years from now having the same conversation because we haven't moved the ball 1 inch. So again, you hear what you want to hear and you disregard the rest. So, you know, we're trying, but that's not a practical solution.
We can have one-on-ones after this, okay? Commissioner Amoroso?
I'm good.
Commissioner Zerdy?
Maybe it's a little more chatter on that, because it brings up a movie that maybe you have seen. The movie is Dumb and Dumber.
Make your point there, Commissioner Zerdy,
My
please.
point is, during the movie, he brings back his luggage, and he's infatuated with her, with the girl, and he says, oh, you know, what are my chances for us? And she goes, it's 1,000,000 to 1. And he goes, so I got a chance. That's all I have here.
Commissioner McWayne?
Thank you. I do appreciate Commissioner Maxwell's suggestion that we hear what we want to hear, and I think that's a known human phenomena, and sometimes we don't hear the full story. I hope that I was not guilty of that. What I heard, and folks can correct me, but I heard it from a bond attorney, the woman that was there, who I assume knows this stuff, and what I heard was that, yes, it is difficult to work out an algorithm or procedure for doing the non-ad valorem ones, but not impossible. And I don't think it was quite that she was referring to a 1 in a million possibility. And I pointed out at that meeting that we had the same challenge with, I believe it was our storm sewer thing, and we paid a consultant to do the right things. It was tedious and it took some trouble, but they did it. It's a little different than doing it through the property tax. But it sounded like it was possible. I did hear very clearly that there is a different interest rate if you try to do a bond that way than if you do a GO bond, but I did not hear that it was impossible. So I believe that I did hear correctly. My feeling on it, I don't know the details, I don't know what the best approach is, but I think we are hearing from the community. We need to look at a number of different ways to finance this. We all agree that the work needs to be done. We had a vote on it, we clearly came to the conclusion that what we were proposing at that time did not get a resounding majority commensurate with the size of the problem. So we need to keep things on the table and think about them openly as the message. It may turn out to be a really bad idea, I don't know. I'm not that far in the,
Everybody has had one shot at this except for me. You've got 2 shots at it. You want your second shot, that's it. We're gonna go through 2 shots for everyone and we're not gonna go back and forth. Thank you. I'll even forego my second shot. Or my first.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor.
I'll take a shot.
Well, do you recall, Commissioner, do you recall?
We're not gonna go back and forth questioning one another.
Well,
Make your
I
comments.
think it's important, Mayor, that we hear this, okay? Does anybody in this dais recall the comment that was made that based on our demographics, our economic situation in this city, it would be almost impossible, nearly impossible, to get somebody to give us debt?
Yes.
Did everybody hear that loud and clear?
Yes.
Did you hear that, Mr. Commissioner McBoy?
I heard that from the bond person at the meeting, yes.
I do remember hearing something about difficulty of getting it, when I went and talked with them after the meeting, and I asked, you know, I asked specifically what kind of interest rates, because I wanted numbers on it, would be associated currently with the general GO bond and one with the non-ad valorem, and he gave me interest rates, which to me
Wait, again, we're not gonna go back and forth. Make your statement, Commissioner.
I wanted to answer the question.
Okay,
Answer the question.
well,
Did you hear that or not? Is that what was said?
I don't think I heard only that, I heard
Okay.
additional information.
I would suggest that both of you revisit the tape and watch that meeting so that you can get the accurate information from that meeting, but we're not gonna go back and forth. Thank you. I forego my second opportunity as well. And we're gonna move on. Here we go. Approval